Hello, good people. I am so excited to bring you this interview with Casey, the writer, a songwriter and artist in his own right. He just released his single, Make Some Time, and I'm so grateful that he has made some time for me today. Welcome, Casey.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So glad to have you. So let's get started at the beginning. I saw in another interview that you talked about music has just always been a part of your life. You grew up with it from when you were very young until now. Tell us a little bit more about how music has really played a role in your life.
I guess we can just dive back into just the beginning. I mean, from the get-go, I could remember being at my grandmother's house, and I don't know if it was her or if it was my dad, but I just remember Michael Jackson being played for the first time, and it was like one of those VHSs that had all the music videos,
Yes, yes.
and I just thought, what is this? Who is this person? This is incredible, and I mean, obviously, everyone in the world knows that that's like one of the greatest of all time. So, I think from there, I always had just like this ear for music because then it kind of went from there, and then Janet, and then just all that kind of world, and that was like kind of the early '90s. That was just like such a big part of my life. So from there, I remember like preschool, kindergarten, kind of being into music. So I was in like plays and different
Okay.
things like that. And I guess at some point, singing wasn't a cool thing in my
Okay. Okay.
school I went to or wherever I was at, and
Yep.
so I kind of stopped singing for a long time. And I kind of took a big step away from singing, music, any
Mm,
of that.
mm.
Um, I think it was because whatever school I went to, they made fun of Michael Jackson. They're like, "You like Michael Jackson? You like NSYNC?" I was big into like the pop
Yeah.
bands and all this
Yeah.
stuff, so it kind of like shunned me, and I was just like, "All right, well, I guess peer pressure type things."
Yeah.
So it wasn't until probably like sixth to seventh grade where I remember sixth grade, I joined the choir again. So I got back into singing sixth grade. And then at the time, my mom married this guy, and he was I guess you can call him a record producer.
Right.
In my light, I don't really see it as that anymore, but
Right.
he had like a studio, and when he moved in, he had a studio in the basement. And my mom was kind of a singer, and she kind of dived into like wanting to sing. So she had this 4-track tape player, and I swear I stole that from her because it was in my room for the rest of the time that we
Right.
had it.
Yeah.
So from there, I just kind of started tinkering with like keyboards and like plugging it in and all this stuff. So I started making, the crappiest beats of
Yeah.
all time.
Yeah. Sure.
And from there, I just kind of started recording my own, like, just as a hobby, just recording, and didn't really, that was just kind of my niche. Like,
Mm,
then
mm.
throughout school, people knew me as the person that was recording and making these beats that at the time, I guess everyone thought sounded good. Because
Yeah.
when I hear them back, I'm like, oh God. I kept going with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how things kind of started. And from there, that was all I did. I mean,
Mm.
come home from school, I may watch a cartoon or something on TV, and then I would go to the basement or to my room and just tinker with it. So that lasted through seventh, eighth grade. I went to high school, ninth, 10th grade. That's when someone bought me a computer. I can't remember who bought
Okay.
me a computer.
Yep.
Someone bought me a computer. And from there was a program called Fruity Loops FL Studio.
Yes, I think
Um,
I've heard it. Okay, heard of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of producers use it now. It's upgraded since when I first had it, but yeah, from there, then it was like, oh wow, there's a world of things you can do with a computer and
Right.
technology other than what I was using. So that kind of really started me kind of going with things. And I wasn't a songwriter really. I would my own songs, but like I was never like, I didn't even know that that was really a thing, being a
Mm,
songwriter.
mhm.
Um, up until probably whenever MySpace came out.
Okay.
So
Yep.
I don't know, like maybe that was 2009 or I can't remember what year that was. It's
Yeah.
probably way earlier than
Yeah.
that, 2005.
Like sometime in 2000. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so from there, I would see things online through MySpace of like, different artists, people have their artist pages up and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And I was like, oh, who wrote this song? Who wrote that song? And then I was had the idea. I was like, well, no one's writing on my stuff. If this is what a producer is making,
Mm,
making beats, how do you go to the next level? Like, how do you get someone on your song? And so crazy thing is, I don't know if you ever heard of this person. She's one of the biggest songwriters in the world now. Her name's Stara. And
Sarah?
I'm Sarah.
All right.
She's wrote like, Needed Me,
Okay.
Girls Like You, Maroon 5. She wrote like all these huge hits. And I met her on MySpace and I started sending her tracks and
Love it.
she would write my tracks. So like, and I was like, oh wow, like this is how like a song is put together
Yeah.
for an artist. Most times it's like you have the track and then, someone top lines your track. And so I was like, well, I don't, she was one of the only people that would write to my stuff. So I was like, well, maybe I should start writing my own and just kind of being a tag team in my own art kind of world. So
Right.
yeah, that's kind of how things started. From there, like I just started kind of writing, and then I think when I first moved to LA, I moved to LA in 2009,
Okay.
and I was at that point I thought I was pretty decent with making instrumental
Good.
tracks,
Good.
at least beat maker.
Yeah.
In that right. So, but then I had a huge downfall. My laptop of who knows how long crashed and died, and I lost everything.
Oh
So,
no.
yeah, from there I was like, well, you know what? The producing thing can be on hold because I lost all my sounds and all the drums and all that
Mhm.
stuff. And I was like, I'm just gonna dive into being a songwriter. Like at
Yeah.
this point, that's something must have told the universe to take
Yeah.
that and just do the songwriting thing. So
Yeah.
that's kind of just how things started, and and then
Right.
Instagram came out,
Right.
and
Right. And I love how you mentioned the MySpace aspect of things and then Instagram, right? Because that is how you connect with people, right? That's how we connected. I was like, hey, how can I interview you? And you're like, here you go. And so then now we're connected. So I love how you mentioned that. And I love that you were willing to just send your music to these, singers and writers. Like that's how you get the word out there, right? Like that's really how you get more experience and things like that. So tell us about the songwriting process, right? You do you do the beat first? Do you do the music first? What kind of what kind of songwriting do you?
either way. So a lot of time, like I work two different ways basically. So one way is obviously I'm at home right now. I work
Yeah,
from home.
yeah.
So if I'm working from home for the most part, if it's not like me actually making the instrumental, most producers will just send me stuff,
Okay.
and I'll just kind of top line it from there, and then I can talk about my songwriting process. But sometimes nowadays, obviously during COVID, I've done a lot of this, like a lot of virtual sessions.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I worked with this guy recently, Finnessy. I might be saying his name wrong. And he cooked up a track from scratch
Right.
through virtual session, and
Wow.
then the top line from there. And he actually released the song on. He just put out an EP, so he just released that song on his
Okay.
EP. So I thought it was just cool to see it really go from start to finish
Right.
in like this kind of aspect. Very cool. Other side of it is obviously going to someone's studio or going to a studio and
Right.
just starting from scratch. It just can go either way. Start from scratch. A lot of producers like to, vibe out with the songwriter and see kind of their lane that they want to go in, and they'll do it from beginning to end.
Right.
Some people would just go through tracks that they have, and ooh, what's that? What's that right there? They'll
Right.
load it up and we go. My songwriting like process stems from the dream.
The Dream,
He's
the artist.
Dream the artist,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
songwriter,
Yeah.
like Beyonce,
Yeah.
Jay Z,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
people. Legendary. He's
Yeah.
me and Star actually call him Godfather. Like
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
he birthed us.
Yes.
um, and I used to study not only his songwriting process, like his actual songwriting, but also his process. There's like a bunch of you can go on YouTube and
Yeah.
find videos of him in the studio, and he wouldn't sit there and write like this. He would just
Right.
go in the booth and just kind of freestyle, like do line by line and just freestyle kind of. And that I've tried to take that approach to things because I think if you sometimes I'll be too in my head about
Mm,
songwriting and sit
mm,
there. I don't know if this is right, but
yeah.
he freestyling. I feel like that's when your thoughts come to you like verbatim of
Right.
like what the story is. And so I've tried to kind of take that approach a lot and just kind of go for it. And I actually just watched another interview last night of James Leroy, who's another
Yep. Yep.
one of my godfathers. I think
Yes. Yes.
he's
Big one.
legendary.
Yes.
And he was saying how he kind of doesn't even know. A lot of people would like want to. They're like, "What's the concept for a song? Let's think of the concept." And I'm like, I just like to start the story.
Right.
Lady, red lipstick with a
Mm,
cigarette in something,
right.
and it's like, okay, where can this go from there?
Right.
It's just, I think it's very interesting to kind of take that approach. I've also taken another approach, another courtesy of Star. She doesn't even. I always do like melody first,
Okay.
and then I'll if I'm doing it that way, I'll do melody first and fit the melodies together, and then go
Right.
back and write it. Whereas she will write the song first and then go in the booth and like think of the melody to the words. And I think that was always, I was just like, how do you do that? And so
Yeah.
I've tried to take that approach too. Like I'll do it the day before. I'll sit with the track and just like write the song,
Right.
and then the next day I'll have my head kind of clear of any melodies that I thought, and then I'll go and try to fit the puzzles together. So there's so many approaches to songwriting.
Yeah.
No right way, there's no wrong way. I think trying them all out and then finding like a niche, like your niche, like approach people should do.
And I love what you do where you sometimes you go on Instagram live and you're just like you're showing the process. Like that is the type of stuff that I love to watch because I'm just like you're starting and you're stopping and then you're playing the track and you're not and then you're writing these words and things like that. Talk to us a little bit about your inspiration for songs and also for your song Make Some Time. How did that one come about? What was the process like? How did we get there? And specifically the end part for those of you who haven't listened to it, I'll put it in the description below, but the end part is very interesting and I know you chose that very distinctly, so tell us a little bit about the reasoning for that.
What was the first question?
So like who like how
Oh,
do
my
you yeah yeah yeah
um,
figure-
that's another interesting because a lot of people ask that question. I say anything, honestly, in my
yeah
opinion. Like it could be something I'm going through personally
yeah
with a relationship or someone that I'm talking to or something like that. It could be a friend's relationship. Because for me, I say tell people I have two gifts: doing
yeah
music and observing people. Like I love to sit back and listen and
yeah
watch, and I have such a diverse group of friends that like they all are always going through something, and I'm always like the shoulder to lean on of. And so
mhm,
I'll sometimes I'll subconsciously use someone else's story in a song
mm,
and back and be like, wait, my friend was just telling me that. And so that can be something that inspires me. Also, just I like to watch a lot of like documentaries. I know that it sounds weird to even think that I can get inspired by a documentary or like some like an art something. It could be like I've been getting into a lot of painting.
okay
I
yeah
was, I was trying to find like a new creative outlet. So I've been painting a lot. That inspires me and kind of gets my brain flowing. And then like
yeah
from after painting, I'd be like, oh wait, let me stop. I have like a song, like something's in my head. Let me get on the
yeah
mic.
like a true
So
creative yeah
mm, or just hanging out, honestly, just experiencing life. Like
yeah
I tend to, people probably like my publishers probably be like, what, damn, he's somewhere else. Because sometimes I'll just be like, yo, this weekend I gotta go to San Diego. I want to go to, one of my best friends lives in Kansas. I'm just gonna get away from LA and go to
right
Kansas and just life and experience that. So that's probably the most inspiring, one of the
okay
most inspiring. I'll go away and experience something completely different in a completely different world setting that I've never been in, and come back and be kind of reset with my mind, and
right
that changes a lot for me.
yeah yeah yeah
When it comes to make some time, that came about a friend of mine. Oh
mhm,
God, he doesn't realize this. A friend of mine that I had a crush on,
okay okay
like a big crush on,
yep
and
yep
so the lyrics in the hook, it says, "Make some time for me. If it's late nights on rooftops, make time for me."
yep
And they live a block away from me, and they have a
got
rooftop,
it
and
got it
so we're all rooftop. So it's just like it definitely stems from a personal place right there. That's
yeah
for me. Like if I'm gonna make my own songs, they're definitely gonna come from my like personal
yeah
life. The track actually came. I sampled a Sade song.
okay
I was I've lately I've been when I shower, I just listen to Sade. I don't know, it's
yes
peaceful.
yes
But I
vibe
heard this cadence that it was in a song, and it was like a guitar, and it was in a 3/4 time, and I was like 3/4. Like a lot of people don't do 3/4 time
right
in their
right
song. That was interesting. So it took me forever to like get it on kind of time, even though it
right
has like a weird time to
yeah
it, but
yeah
it took me a while to get on time. So I really love that song. for just like the weird time signature and then make some time.
Yes.
And then the ending you're talking about, I extended the silence
Yes.
so that people can like kind of think about what they just heard and like make some time to like really think about, I guess, the cadence and the lyrics and kind of the story of it all.
I
And
love
also that that person should make some think a little bit more too.
I
Hopefully he doesn't.
loved that. When you said that, I think you tweeted it or something, and I was like, that is brilliant. But also the song, I mean, first of all, you're giving me like Division, the weekend vibes, right? Like you got all that kind of like sultry, sensual stuff going on. But then the end, because sometimes when you hear silence on a track, you're like, oh, did something happen? Like whatever. But you
Some,
intentionally left that there. Yeah. And I love that. I love that aspect of that. So tell us about how did you get into writing for K-pop, right? Like you're now all over the world. You're huge in Korea, right? But have you been to Korea?
yes, I've
Okay.
been twice.
Okay.
Supposed to go at the time when COVID hit, which
Yes. Yes. COVID.
so
So
annoying.
yeah, tell us about that process.
That was a random kind of. It wasn't even a random thing. So when I first moved here, I guess this is like I'm just taking you all the way back.
Yeah.
I went to a songwriting panel that I randomly saw on Twitter and went to this panel. You were able to submit your songs and they play them for the panel. So they ended up playing my songs for the panel. People loved them. The people that put on this panel ended up being my first managers.
Okay.
So, one or two years later, through them, I met my manager now, Danny Jones,
Yep.
and he um, he had like the connection to the kind of the K-pop world, but I didn't know anything about K-pop. I hadn't heard of BTS. I hadn't heard of any of that, and so I did a song with his producer. His producer's name said Devench. He did also Boom with me.
Yep.
Um, and he sent me a track, and I top lined this track and didn't hear anything from this track. I remember I think I did it in 2012.
Okay.
Didn't hear anything about it for 3 years until 2015. And at the time, I kind of was going through some things with my managers, and he hit us up and was like, "Hey, like K-pop, this K-pop group wants to do this song," and I'm like, "K-pop? What?
Right.
K-pop?
Right.
Never heard of that. Is that a band?" And so he got that situated, and I kind of from there, obviously, whenever I hear anything, it could be anything, anybody, any producer I work with, any songwriter, like the first thing I do is I go on Google or I go on IG and I'm like, who's this person? Like I want to know what they have done. Like I want to know, how they sound, this, that, and other. And so when I saw it was EXO, obviously so I did the First Love. That was my first track that I ever did. And I saw this group, and then I saw like the videos, and I saw like the outfits and the choreography, and I'm just like, what? What? Where has this been? Like,
Yes.
And so that was the first track, and but even after that track, I didn't like engulf myself in it. Like I saw, I looked it up, I researched it, but I didn't think like, oh, like this is gonna like be something I always do. Like I was so focused on trying to really pop in the U.S. market and really kind of run with that. And so it didn't take until I don't even remember when that song came out, but the EXO Trauma.
Okay.
I was like, okay, like in like previous before that, maybe a few months before that, that's when I was starting to get like briefs because I signed with Danny as my manager, and he started sending me these briefs, and I'm like, oh wow, like they're like really kind of particular about the sound that they want for the different groups. And for me, I think that it's always I love briefs because they still give you the creative process, but it really helps you kind of like mold an idea like it's clay. It's like they give you a slab of clay and they put on the clay this now make it. And so it's like you can make it, you can make a face any way you want, but it's like as long as you make a face, they're like make a face, do it how you want. So I remember the Trauma song came about. It wasn't even originally for like K-pop. It was for I can't remember what one of these bands out here.
Yeah.
And when they said they wanted it for the repackage, that's when I kind of really was like, okay, this is the second one that I've done. maybe I should really kind of start focusing on this world
Right.
that I'm not focusing on.
Right.
And so after that, that's kind of when things really started. And I think can't remember. Geez, I have bad memory, but
Yeah.
I can't remember if I went to Korea first or if I did Boom first. I think
Okay.
I might have done Boom first, and I think that's when SM was kind of like,
Right.
oh,
Right.
okay, like
Like,
we
okay,
need to get.
we're good.
That's
Okay.
when they had me come out there, and after that first visit, the first visit actually really taught me a lot about K-pop because I kind of was shooting in the wind with things,
Right.
and I think Boom was one where I must have already went to Korea because
Okay.
before because when I went to Korea, I didn't know what I was doing. Like
Right.
I got lucky with the two
Yeah.
K-pop ones I did
Yeah.
before, but I didn't know what there's like a kind of I don't want to say there's a formula, but there's like a formula,
That's
and
what I've heard
so
from other songwriters. Yes. Yes.
yeah, and so I didn't know really. I don't think any of us that really went that first trip really had any full idea of like
Yeah.
how to create a K-pop song. I think we were just all like talented and very like eager to want to learn. And so I think it didn't take to that second trip. That
Mhm.
second trip was like, I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 here, here, here. And
Right.
I mean, I'm grateful that almost every single one I did in that second camp has been cut
Okay.
as a track. So I think after that, I was like, yes, I know what I'm
Right.
doing.
Right.
Let's let's do this.
Yeah.
So it's been a cool journey to like I think for just myself of like the knowledge of now knowing like what they want when they ask for things.
Right.
It's really
Yeah, so talk to
so.
us a little bit more. I know you mentioned it in another interview as well about the camps. And I've talked to a
Mm.
couple of other songwriters who are also doing sort of K-pop songs and they've mentioned these as well. So they put you all together and then they give you either a track or they tell you what they want and then you all go off and produce it, right? And you make it happen. So talk to us a little bit more about the camp writing process. Is that something that we have in America or is that purely like a K-pop thing? What's going on with that?
They do that they do writing camps in here. I mean, I think all over the world they do them. I think that K-pop writing camps are a little different. No, I guess it's kind of same. I think because I've been to a few writing camps here where they'll, the artist will be there and sit you down
Mm,
with the artist will kind of give you the direction of what they want. Whereas in Korea, they kind of that first. So we all get there, we all arrive, and I'm thankful for this because it's kind of difficult sometimes in America when you even go to regular sessions and
mhm.
you don't know the person. You
Yeah.
just have to kind of like connect and vibe with them, like, or you don't, and it's kind of like it's kind of hit or miss with those
Right.
things. Whereas I like how they do it in Korea, where you get there immediately after you like check into your hotel. They're like, "Hey, we're all gonna go to dinner. We're all
Yeah.
gonna go drink. We're all gonna kind of like get to know each other in that setting." And I love that because it's for me. I'm pretty introvert, and like when it comes to meeting new people and like settings,
Mm,
especially music, where I'm kind of like already nervous, like, "Oh, where am I? Who am I with?" And that was my first time out of the country, so I'm like,
right.
"Oh gosh, I don't know anyone." Well,
Yeah.
I knew my manager, so thank God, but I didn't really know anyone. So it was kind of like I don't need to dive into the studio right when I get there would kind of be like I think it would have been like a little waste of time because I wouldn't have felt as open as I did after the night of you know
Yes.
eating
Yes.
dinner and drinking and kind of getting to know everyone. Then the next day it's like all right, 11 a.m. You walk into the studio, they sit you down, they kind of give you the artist that they're looking for, kind of the sound that they're trying to go for, and then it's kind of just freedom. I mean,
Yeah.
either like the second time I went to the camp, them joints had tracks so
Mhm.
that he had already made that he kind of like gave to certain writers, and so like me and Kenzie one day,
Yeah.
who's like incredible songwriter for SM, were in like the studio with his tracks. But then sometimes you're just in there with the producer, and it's like, all right, let's just make a sound. Let's just
Right.
create from scratch. So it kind of goes either way. I just really love the fact that they in Korea that they make it at the end of the camps. You feel like you're just this huge family
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
every day, like lunch, you all sit for lunch, then
Mhm.
you have dinner at night, and then it's like there's a break in the middle of the week where you can go explore the city and do
Yeah.
this, and then the last night you all go out to the clubs and just party. So it's kind of like at the end of the day, you're like, I love you guys. I don't
Yeah.
want to leave you.
I
So
like
it's
that.
really good camaraderie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so great that they do that too, because Korean culture, I've been to Korea, I lived in Japan. So Korean culture is just very much like that, right? And it's very interesting that they do that so that they sort of create this bond sort of right off the bat. And I love that was this like your first time going to a foreign country, going to Korea, going to Asia? Okay,
This
first time sort of experiencing that, right? So yeah, so that's when
it
you get
was
that as your first experience, you're
it was
just,
incredible. I think
yeah,
the first time did we all cry? I feel like we cried one of them days. So
yeah, yeah, because you bond
yeah.
over the whole situation, right? And you all are creating magic and creating hits, right? So that's really, really fun. I think my favorite one that you've done so far is probably Drip. I listen to that probably daily. That's on Super M's new album, their first full length album. That one was fun.
Lil
That was
Bop.
probably, yeah, that was probably that one. I know you did Punch as well.
Mhm.
You've done so many. Um, so tell us a little bit more about the songwriting structure. You mentioned that it's a little bit different than the US structure. So what is different about that? And then I have one follow up to that about the language aspect.
So I mean, in America, it's basically they have this simple verse pre hook kind
Okay.
of structure, and now it's even becoming like I was just watching an interview yesterday, and he was talking about Sam Smith's "Stay,"
Okay.
and it's literally verse, like 4 bars of verse, and then go straight to the hook. So like
Yeah.
I think even now because attention spans are kind of falling shorter and shorter, they're shortening songs even more. Now songs are, I mean, at one point I think the song limit time structure was like 3:20. Now it's
Right.
dropped to like 2:30 at some.
Wow.
It's really shortening. It does
Yeah.
suck, but I mean
Yeah.
I think actually if you have like songs that are just great songs, they can be
Yeah.
any length.
Right.
But in Korea, it can really be anything.
Mm.
It just has to be. For me, I just feel like their sole thing of structure is switching it up, and
Okay.
like because they know that they have a very young group of fan, like
Right.
the basic structure of their fan base is very young, and
Yeah.
they just keep that attention. So like for instance, I think Punch was probably the most interesting one where it just switched so much. It was just like
Yeah.
whoa, 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 and people were
Yeah.
like, what is this? And I just think that that keeps people's attention to the
Right.
point where
Okay.
you don't realize what you like. People were saying, what did I just listen to? Because they just kept switching.
And then you want to hear it again.
I thought
Yeah.
that was a very interesting song because for me, the structure I was when I was writing it with Kinsey, I was like, wow, where are we going with this kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I think the structure is interesting also because they have, in many of their groups they have rappers, so you always have
Right.
to like have this part that's rap, like two or three raps in a song, and
Right.
so that's also interesting. Also, it even it could be like a rap that turns into singing, overlapping, and
Yes.
then rapping underneath. It's just like things that like I always have to think about when I turn to like the K-pop side is like how can I make it so you really have a something for each member to do.
Right.
You know,
Right. And then you write in English and then they translate it, or does it?
yeah,
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's always
I
been me.
know too. I'm trying to learn more, but it's
Yes,
simple.
yeah, yeah. We got to get you some. 안녕하세요, 네, gentlemen, 계십니다.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get you some of that. I know you've built a really strong relationship with your fans now, especially the K-pop fans. What does it mean to be able to connect with them through the music? I know you sometimes drop hints on Twitter. You're like, "Hey, y'all, look out! I'm gonna be doing this. This is coming out." And they go crazy. So, like, what is that? What does that mean to you?
I think that's this for any musician. If I mean, I would hope if they're being like genuine is the main thing that you want through your music. You want to connect with people. You want to know how they react or what they think about things. And like for me, like that's all I really care about. Like I care about doing the music and then getting the responses and knowing like what people like about something or even just like knowing that someone's inspired by that. I mean,
Right.
that's what I do for like I think
Yeah.
to help change the world, help give some kind of joy because obviously it's craziness going on
It
right now.
is
So
crazy. You do
especially in
provide a lot of
America.
yeah, you do provide a lot of joy in these crazy times. Who is your dream collab? Like artist you would love to either have
In the
feature on a
world,
song with you or yeah, in the world or maybe write for or both.
I mean, I could easily just say the legend Beyonce. I mean,
Ah,
that
yes,
would
yes.
that would be like,
Queen Bee.
oh God, if I ever got a call and it was like, "Hey, it's Beyonce," I would cry.
We're putting that out in the
Definitely
universe.
Beyonce.
We're gonna put that out
Definitely,
there. Okay.
and it would be even more of a dream to even just do like how the dream has written for her, like where he has like multiple songs on her album. That would be my dream to really help curate a project with
Okay.
her, or like I think that would be insane. I would be very nervous.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So maybe years down the line when I'm not as nervous.
Right. Right.
But definitely her. And then um probably also Frank Ocean.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep.
Ocean, just because he really goes away and then he comes back, and I
Yes.
feel like if I could just befriend him as a friend
Yes.
and then like music with him, I think that would be so cool to do. I don't know.
Love it. Love it. We're putting the good vibes out there. I am hoping that those things happen. I will be looking for those things to happen for you. This is your chance now. Promotion. What are you working on? What's going on? What do you want us to know? What's coming up? Let us know. You got a lot going on. You got a lot
Like,
going
what
on. So.
can I say? Well, NCT
Yep.
2020 Resonance Part Two,
Yes.
the outro Dream Routine. So that's I'm excited about that because I did that with Kenzie and them joints, and that
Yeah.
was probably my favorite one that
Okay.
I did. Even more favorite than Punch,
Wow.
and probably favorite than Drip. I think it's
Wow.
because I tried to channel Michael.
Yes.
I guess I don't know if I can say that, but whatever. I already said.
Edit it out.
I tried to channel Michael, and I feel like
Right.
it's got swag to it. I feel like
Yeah.
so, and I feel like it's kind of different for NCT.
Okay.
So I'm really excited to see what it sounds like.
Yeah.
With doing it.
Yeah.
Um, I have an album title track coming. It was supposed to be. Oh, I don't know if I can say that. It was supposed to be something, and then they pushed it to I think next year.
Got it.
But I think it's gonna be super big, and I'm
Okay.
very excited because it's my first. I've had like a repackaged title track, but this is my first like the album coming out. So
Right.
I'm
Right.
so excited about that. This will be my first one for
Yeah.
K-pop.
Yeah.
There's a big rap thing that for in the US that's gonna be coming out, and
Okay. Okay.
that's like gonna be my first like big placement. So I can't wait for that. I can't say who it is until
Yep.
we announce the album,
Yep.
but look out for that. What else?
You're busy. I don't know. I can't keep up.
I can't- uh, yeah, I don't. I can't think of.
Anything
Probably nothing else.
personal? Anything you're working on?
I'm still trying to work on my own project. It's
No.
just, I guess, my time every time I'm like I'm about to work on my stuff, then it's like detours to songwriting. So that's my first priority. But definitely, I would say by top of year I'll have some kind of project out. Just and I know you said like I'm like artist wise, but I don't even see myself as an artist because I don't really want to do like the full
Mm,
blown thing. I just love putting my own music out if I feel like I should put out music for myself, and I
right.
feel like
Right.
it's been a while since I have, and to make some time is like people really love it, and I didn't think people would actually like it like that,
Yeah.
but I feel like now I feel like I need to have something out there to kind of put my own thoughts out. This has been a crazy year.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. It's
Exclusive. Exclusives.
gotta be something. I know there's something else that I'm forgetting, and it's
If
probably
you
just
remember, people can definitely, I will put the links below, can follow you, follow Casey on Twitter, Instagram, all of the spaces. Casey is definitely giving us the goods on the deets and letting us know what's going on. Final question. This is a this or that question. Okay. The ability to stop time or the ability to time travel.
ooh.
I chose it because
Ooh,
of your song, so I'm like,
wow. It would be time travel. Even though stopping time is a good one because that would make me able to work a lot longer. I could just stop time and just work for days and then start at the beginning.
exactly.
20 songs. Ah. But
Yeah.
time travel just to go back and see different musicians. I
Mm,
mean, if I could, I could go back and see Michael,
yeah.
and that would be changing. Also, relatives that are passed away, I can go back
Yes.
and kind of insight from them. So, time travel definitely just to be able to go back and
Yes.
talk to people. I mean, that would be
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. No, that's such a great answer. Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone will love this. Cannot wait to see what you do in the future. And yeah, thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you for having me.